feels like home. I said last time I was here, in a sense, I know why my ancestors and many of your relatives left during the famine. And but you know, when you're here, you wonder why anyone would ever want to leave. I mean it. So it's good to be back. And I want to thank another proud son of Louth, the Prime Minister Martin, the guy behind me here. Now I met him when he was the Taoiseach. And the bad news was we put him up in lovely quarters across from the White House, and he had COVID. So the fact that I'm here with my sister Valerie and my youngest son Hunter Biden, stand up, guys. I'm proud of you. And I wish our mom, Catherine Eugenia Finnegan Biden, were here today. She'd be so damn proud. You know, Louth held such a special place in her heart, and it really did. And today we carry her home in our heart, for real. We think about her all the time. And coming here feels like coming home, and it really does. The way, every time I've come, the welcome, the people on the streets, they're just so gracious to us. And earlier today, I had a chance to visit another special place, Carlingford Castle. High in the hill, the castle that was likely one of the last glimpses that the Finnegan family saw when they set sail for America. And they set sail with courage and hope, and they crossed the sea. And through generations, the Finnegans brought this island home from Ireland to Scranton, Pennsylvania, where we were raised, where I was raised, I should say, and my mother lived. And matter of fact, I'm going to be heading to the other end side of the island, to Mayo, because my grandmother's maiden name was Blewett, and the Blewetts are from Mayo. And we brought over the mayor of Scranton because it's a sister city to Mayo. And but my grandpa Finnegan would also say, every time we walked, we talk about background and heritage, he'd go, "Remember, Joey, the best drop of blood in you is Irish." Well, y'all think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. In the East Indian Tea Company, and he got them to reprint a book, the admiral to reprint a book. He wrote the rules of mutiny, seriously, for the British Navy. And there's a picture of him sitting in his cabin, looking very captainish, with a big British bulldog next to him. And he gave me the book. He said, "I don't want to hear any more from you." But all kidding aside, you know, the fact is that you know, my dad taught us a lot. And our dinner table was a place where you accidentally sat down to eat, but it was a place where we had discussions. And our dad worked like hell. And he'd come home from work and then go back. We'd have dinner at 6 o'clock. And it was a place, as I said, we had conversation and incidentally ate. And then he'd go back to work until 9 o'clock. But my dad had this he was really a fine man. And he talked about, his favorite word was that dignity. He said, everyone's entitled to be treated with dignity, Joey, and respect, no matter what. My father would no more walk by the shoe shine guy in the Hotel DuPont than he would walk by the chairman of the board who walked by it. That was our dad, and he meant it, everyone. These are the same values I've tried to pass down to my children, my son Hunter, my deceased son Bo, my daughter Ashley, that everyone is entitled to be treated with dignity, everybody. And they're the same values including my granddaughters. The great thing about granddaughters is they're crazy about their grandfather. I've worked on it you think I'm joking, I worked on it from the very beginning. And my number 2 granddaughter, and when I walked in, she was being born and Hunt was there, and I had just been born. We walked into the recovery room, and I said, "What are we going to name her?" And he said, "Finnegan." And I said, "No, what are we going to name her?" And because I thought Catherine Eugenia Finnegan Biden, they're going to name her. He said, "No, Finnegan." I said, "What are we going to call her?" He said, "Finnegan, Dad, Finnegan." Finnegan works for an international company now. She's a great kid. But look, the fact is, I've often said the Irish are the only people in the world, in my view, who actually are nostalgic about the future. Think about it. We're nostalgic about the future. I think we all are, no matter where we live, if we have Irish blood in us. And it's because more than anything in my experience, hope is what beats in the heart of all people, and particularly in the heart of the Irish. Hope. Every action is about hope. We can make things better. And hope that built both our nations and has been passed down generation to generation by our families. And it's hope that continues this day. Nearly 45 years ago, as some of you may remember, none of you women are old enough to know, but some of you men maybe. 45 years ago, Pope John Paul spoke down the road, quoting St. Patrick. And the Pope said, and I quote, "I have kept the faith, and it's been the ambition of the Irish down through the centuries to have kept the faith." I think that's what we are. We keep the faith. I'm not talking about religion per se. I'm talking about keeping the faith in who we are, what we believe, what our values are. And so my message to you today is quite simple. We have to continue to keep the faith. Every time I walk out, this is not a joke, walk out of my Grandpa Finnegan's house up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, he'd yell, "Joey, keep the faith." And then either my uncle or my grandmother would yell, "No, Joey, spread it, spread it." But all together we have to keep working toward a future that's of greater dignity, and as we face darkness, and there is darkness we have to face. But we must keep marching forward because the world is a greater, the world has such possibilities. I was with Xi Jinping. I've spent more time with him than any world leader has over the last 10 years. And they keep meticulous count, as the former Taoiseach will know. And over now, 87 hours worth. And I was on the Tibetan Plateau with him. I traveled 17,000 miles with him in China over 10 years. And he asked me, he said, "Can you define America for me?" And I could say the same of Ireland. I said, "Yes, I can." I said, in one word, possibilities. We believe anything's possible. Anything's possible. Anything's possible if we set our mind to it. That's who we are. That's what we believe, in my view. So let me close with this. Around the time Owen Finnegan boarded the Brothers bound for the ship, the Brothers Bound for America, another shoemaker named Joseph Kearney from Moneygall was leaving, because my great-great-grandfather was a shoemaker, Owen. And he sailed on the Carolyn Reed, and arriving in America just 5 weeks before my great-great-grandfather. And they were both shoemakers. And it's doubtful they knew each other, and they came came out of the same port. And but one thing we do know, they left everything behind, but they had faith. They had faith in an uncertain future. And all their dreams, I'm not sure they could have imagined that 175 years later, both their great-great-grandsons would be President of the United States of America, Barack Obama and Joe Biden. But that's what you breed here, just faith and the possibilities that are out there. You know, we come from, Valerie and I come from not poor means, but modest means. We lived in a split-level home and the development of similar homes, of 75 homes. It was a nice neighborhood. And we had 3 bedrooms, 4 kids, and a grandpa living with us. And but it was home. I now look back and wonder how Mom and Dad did that. But the point is that, you know, we were taught anything's possible. Anything is possible. And so the fact is that I think possibilities are what we have to be focused on. And that's the power of faith. And that's the promise of hope. And so, as my mother would say, that's the Irish of it. That's the Irish of it. Whenever we'd say something was unusual, she said, Joey, that's the Irish of it. It is the Irish of it. I'm so proud to be here, so proud to be in Louth, so proud to be with, I don't want to ruin the reputation, but the Carneys are relatives. We take great faith. And the closing comment I make, you see this tie I have with a shamrock on it? This was given to me by one of these guys right here. Was a hell of a rugby player, and they beat the hell out of the black and tans. Oh, God, it was but it was when you were at a Soldier Field, wasn't it, the game? Chicago. And after it was all over, he gave my brother, allegedly for me, but if it wasn't, I still took it. I still got the tie. I wear it with great pride. And so thank you all for the homecoming welcome. The bad news for all of you is we'll be back. There's no way to keep us out, but thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you.